I want you to imagine a scenario. It's a nightmare scenario, honestly.
Yeah.
You wake up tomorrow morning, you grab your phone,
Yeah.
you log into your banking app, and the number is 0.
Total wipeout.
Exactly. No savings, no checking, no investments. It's all gone. Immediate panic,
Yeah.
right? Your heart starts racing. You feel cold. You feel
Hmm.
poor.
Naturally. I mean, that is the modern definition of a catastrophe.
But then imagine someone walks into the room, hands you a ledger, a different kind of accounting book, and says, actually, relax. You're looking at the wrong currency. You are already a billionaire. You were born one.
It sounds like a nice sentiment. It sounds like something you'd read on a greeting card or, a motivational poster in a dentist's office.
Right. It feels like fluff. But today, we are doing a deep dive into a text that takes that idea and treats it with deadly seriousness. We're looking at an article by an author named Zhu Feng titled 8 Great Wealths We're Born With.
Right.
And the mission today isn't just to make us feel better about inflation or the housing market. It's to see if this author can actually prove logically that our definition of wealth is completely broken.
And to be clear right up front, this isn't financial advice. We are not going to talk about crypto or index funds or real estate. This is more like existence auditing.
Existence auditing. I like that.
Zhu Feng is challenging the fundamental assumption that wealth is something you have to go out and get. He argues wealth is something you are.
The text uses a really specific metaphor to set this up, which I found helpful because, well, my brain works in analogies. He frames life not as a career or a battle or a ladder to climb, but as a trip, a journey.
Right. It's the travel package metaphor.
Yeah.
The core argument is that the creator or the maker, the source of life, however you want to frame it, sent us on this trip called life. And like any good travel agent, he included a package of 8 specific wealths to ensure the trip is enjoyable.
So the premise is, you have the ticket, the hotel, the buffet, and the entertainment all included.
Yeah.
But we spend the whole trip stressed out because we're trying to buy extra souvenirs at the airport that we don't actually need.
Precisely. And the stakes are high here. The author argues that the goal of this trip is to reach a destination he metaphorically calls heaven.
Okay.
Now, don't get hung up on the religious connotation. Think of it as just the ultimate state of fulfillment. But here's the catch. Here's the catch. If you spend all your time chasing what we usually call wealth, money, cars, status, that's actually heavy luggage.
Heavy luggage.
It weighs you down. It might even stop you from reaching the destination entirely.
That's the part that got me. The idea that success in the modern sense might actually be the burden that causes you to fail the trip.
So let's audit this travel package.
Right.
I want to be skeptical here. Are these 8 things actually wealth, or are they just basic biology that we take for granted?
Let's break them down. The text starts with the absolute essentials, the fundamental elements. Wealth number 1, the sun. Okay, the sun, it's obviously necessary, but wealth, it's just there. It's in the sky.
And that's the trap. We undervalue it because it's consistent. But look at it from a physics perspective. The text calls it the greatest wealth because it is the ultimate prerequisite.
Right.
Without the sun, you don't just lose light, you lose warmth. You lose the energy that grows the food that powers your body.
So it's the battery for the entire system.
Think of it this way. If you were a billionaire living on a rogue planet drifting through deep space, frozen, dark, dead, how much of your fortune would you trade for one day of sunlight?
All of it.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. You can't spend money if you're frozen solid.
Exactly. In that context, the sun is worth more than the entire global economy combined, and you get it for free every morning. That's the author's point. It's an asset of infinite value that sits in your account, but you ignore it because you didn't pay a subscription fee for it.
That's a fair point. It's the ultimate utility that never sends a bill. What's number 2?
Wealth number 2 is air. And here, the author introduces a very strong theme of equality that runs through the whole text.
Equality how?
Well, think about a president, a tech mogul, and, I don't know, a shepherd living in the mountains. There's a massive gap in their bank accounts, maybe billions of dollars.
Right.
But is there a gap in their oxygen?
No. They breathe the same air.
The text emphasizes this. It's an automatic function. You are born, and suddenly this massive, invisible resource is available to you instantly. You didn't have to pack the air for the journey. It was provided.
It's interesting because we are seeing companies try to monetize this, right? Oxygen bars or clean air filters in polluted cities. But fundamentally, you can't really subscribe to premium breathing.
Not biologically. Your lungs don't care if you're rich. They just need the oxygen. It's the great equalizer. Whether you are in a palace or a hut, the act of breathing feels exactly the same.
Okay, so we have warmth and energy and we have oxygen. Wealth number 3 is water.
This one is critical because the text contrasts it directly with material goods. Shuifeng argues that you can survive without a house. It might be uncomfortable, but you'll live.
Right.
You can survive without a car, without electricity, without fancy clothes. You can even survive without a single penny in your pocket.
But you take away water.
The journey ends in about 3 days. It is the ultimate essential. And yet, the text notes this paradox. Water is incredibly important, but in the natural world, it's cheap and abundant. Rivers, lakes, aquifers.
It's a supply and demand glitch. It's the most valuable thing on Earth, but because it falls from the sky, we assume it has no value.
Unless you're in a desert,
Yeah.
and the valuation corrects itself very quickly. The source material views water as a take-all-you-need resource provided by the planet. It's part of the resort infrastructure.
Speaking of infrastructure, that brings us to wealth number 4, the Earth, or specifically the soil.
This was a beautiful section of the text. He describes the earth not just as dirt or, real estate to be sold, but as a treasure trove.
He calls it a place for 10,000 spirits to play, which is a very poetic way to describe an ecosystem.
It is. It's the platform. It nourishes the plants, which feed us. It allows for growth. If life is a trip, the earth is the resort grounds. It's the stage where the play happens. Without the stage, there is no show.
So if we pause here, we have sun, air, water, earth. These are the survival basics. If I'm playing devil's advocate, I'd say, okay, great, I can survive, but I'm just a biological organism existing in the dirt. That's not exactly a wealthy life. That's just survival.
And that is exactly where the author pivots. If the first 4 are about survival, the next 4 are about experience. They are the reason you take the trip in the first place.
Well,
You don't go to Paris just to sleep in a bed. You go to see the city.
okay, so we're upgrading from the basic economy package to the experience package. What is wealth number 5?
Myriad phenomena.
That sounds a bit abstract. What does he mean by phenomena?
He means the entertainment, the backdrop. The text lists specific imagery. The 4 seasons, the wind, the rain, the snow. The flying birds, the blooming flowers, the colors of the sunrise and sunset.
I like the line where he says, without these, the journey would be pale.
Imagine going on a vacation to the most expensive hotel in the world, but the walls are stark white, there are no windows, the sky is gray, and there is absolute silence.
It would be a prison. It sounds like solitary confinement.
Exactly. The author argues that this variety, nature's variety, is a form of wealth that keeps us engaged. It prevents the journey from being monotonous. It's the high-definition surround sound immersion that makes being alive interesting. The fact that leaves change color or that snow feels different from rain, that variety is wealth.
But to enjoy that show, you need the hardware to receive the signal.
Which leads us to wealth number 6, our physical tools. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body.
We treat these like utilities. Oh, my eyes are tired. But the text calls them magical gifts.
And magical is the right word if you think about the engineering. I mean, think about the complexity required to see a sunset and distinguish the oranges from the purples, or to hear a piece of music and feel the rhythm, or to taste a strawberry.
If you tried to buy a bionic eye that could do what a human eye does, it would cost millions, if it's even possible.
Right. If you broke your camera on vacation, you'd pay a lot to replace it so you could capture the memories. But your eyes, your ears, they were bestowed at birth. You didn't have to finance your legs. You didn't have to take out a loan for your sense of smell. These are multi-million-dollar instruments given to you for free to navigate the world.
It really is about reframing the baseline. We assume the baseline is, I have a body, but the text says, no, you have a supersuit.
Exactly. Now we go a layer deeper. We have the environment, the phenomena, and the interface, the senses. But what happens inside? Wealth number 7 is feelings, sensations, and induction.
Induction is an interesting word choice. We usually talk about induction stoves.
It is. It refers to resonance. He isn't just talking about physical touch here, like this table feels hard. He's talking about emotional capability.
Okay.
The ability to sense other people's anger or joy, empathy, the ability for your internal state to change based on the world around you.
The text mentions being moved to tears by sincerity.
Yes. And think about how complex that is. If you were a robot, you could perhaps identify that water is leaking from someone's eyes, but you wouldn't feel the heaviness of their sadness. That emotional range is a form of wealth. It gives the journey depth.
There's a specific cultural reference here, too, something about monkeys crying.
Yes, the sound of monkeys crying in the mountains. It's a classic trope in Eastern poetry.
It sounds a bit specific.
It does to us, but the sentiment is universal. It doesn't mean you are happy about the monkeys crying. It means you hear a sound in nature, a lonely, distant call, and it triggers a deep aesthetic melancholy in you. It makes you feel connected to the vastness of the world.
So even sadness or longing is a form of wealth.
Because it means you are alive and connected. A rock doesn't feel melancholy. A corpse doesn't feel longing. The ability to feel deeply, even if it's sadness, is a privilege of the living. It's part of the rich tapestry of the trip.
That's profound. It makes you value the bad days a little bit more. Okay, we have to talk about the final one. Wealth number 8. The text calls this the most precious wealth, and it's sex.
Sexual organs and sensations, yes.
Now, usually when spiritual texts talk about this, it's about repression or strict rules or shame, but Xu seems to go the other way.
He does. He strips away the taboo and looks at it purely as a biological gift.
Yeah.
He calls the sensation supreme beauty and coolness.
Coolness in the sense of relaxation, relief.
In the sense of a peak state, a release. But the most important part of this argument isn't the physical act, it's the equality of the act.
We're back to the president versus the shepherd.
Exactly. The text explicitly states that a hillbilly in a remote area experiences the exact same intensity of pleasure as a president or a billionaire.
So money can't upgrade this experience.
You can buy a nicer bed, you can buy a more expensive hotel room, you can buy silk sheets, but you cannot buy a better biological response.
Wow.
The dopamine, the oxytocin, the physical sensation, it is hardware locked. It is identical regardless of your status.
That really challenges the hierarchy we build in our heads. We assume the rich have better versions of everything, better food, better cars, but this suggests the absolute peak human experience is standard issue for everyone.
It is an inherent equalizer. It forces you to realize that the most intense joys in life are not behind a paywall.
So let's recap the travel package. We have the essentials: sun, air, water, earth. We have the experience, nature and senses. We have the depth, feelings and pleasure. That's the list.
That is the endowment. That is the $1 billion you were born with.
So here is the $1 million question, or I guess the $0 question. If we have all this incredible free stuff, why is everyone so miserable? Why are we all stressed out about inflation and interest rates and buying the new phone? Why are we depressed?
This is where the author pivots from the inventory to the diagnosis. If we are born billionaires, why do we feel like paupers? The answer, according to the text, is the extra luggage.
Going back to the journey metaphor.
Right. Xu writes that pursuing material wealth, what we usually call wealth, is a mistake. He uses a distance analogy. Imagine the trip to heaven. The final destination of a fulfilled life is 100 kilometers long.
Okay, I'm visualizing it. I'm hiking the trail.
The 8 wealths we just discussed, they are light, they carry you, they are the wind at your back. But material wealth, money, assets, property,
Wow.
That is heavy luggage. That is you strapping a 50-pound weight to your back.
So if I'm carrying a huge sack of gold bars,
You get exhausted. The text says if you spend your energy carrying that luggage, maybe you stop at 30 or 40 kilometers. You collapse.
and what happens if you stop there?
The text says you end up in the animal realm. You're just surviving, fighting, protecting your pile. You never reach the destination. Even if you make it to 99 kilometers, if you're too weighed down to take that last step, you fail.
That is a scary thought. That success in the modern sense is actually the obstacle. We think the gold bars are the prize, but the prize is the destination, and the gold bars are preventing us from getting there.
Precisely. And the root cause of this heaviness, the text identifies it as 2 things: greed and possession.
Possession.
Okay.
Trying to say, this is mine.
Yes. The author returns to the example of sexual resources to make a controversial point here. He suggests that scarcity is artificial. He argues that if people didn't try to possess or commercialize resources, including partners, things would be abundant.
So scarcity is created by our desire to lock things down.
Correct. The text throws out a startling statistic. It claims that 5% of people possess 85% of the material resources. That leaves 95% of people fighting over the remaining 15%.
That paints a grim picture.
Yep.
It's not that the earth didn't provide enough, it's that we bottled it up.
It's like a buffet, where the first guy fills his plate with all the shrimp, puts them in his pocket, and stands guard. Everyone else is fighting over the cocktail sauce, thinking there's a shrimp shortage. But there was never a shortage. There was just hoarding.
So what is the solution? The text paints this picture of the 8 wealths versus the heavy luggage. How do we put down the luggage? Because let's be honest, we all have rent to pay.
The text concludes with a specific prescription. The author states that the way to solve this scarcity and actually enjoy the journey is to follow what he calls God's way, or the Chinuyuan path.
That sounds theological. Without getting too deep into the dogma or the specific religious aspect, what does that practically mean for the listener?
It seems to imply a surrender of ownership, a shift from possessing to experiencing. If you stop trying to own the sunlight or own the land or control other people, you can simply enjoy them.
It's a call to return to that default setting of the traveler. When you're at a hotel, you enjoy the bed, the pool, the view, but you don't stress about fixing the roof or paying the property tax. You just use it.
Exactly. And that implies that true security comes from trusting the package. The author asks a logical question. If the creator gave us these 8 massive, complex wealth eyes, oxygen, the sun, isn't it logical to assume the creator knows what we need? Why worry about tomorrow if the basics are guaranteed?
It really forces you to look at your bank account differently. Like, okay, maybe the number is low today. Maybe I can't buy the new car, but my sun account is full. My air account is unlimited. My senses account is active.
It sounds funny when you say it, but it's psychologically potent. When you define yourself by what you lack, I don't have a yacht, you feel poor. When you define yourself by these biological and natural gifts, you feel incredibly rich.
It's redefining the baseline.
The baseline isn't zero, the baseline is abundance. We just forget it because we're too busy looking at the extras. We are looking at the add-ons and ignoring the main feature.
So let's bring this all together for the listener. We have this text by Xufeng. It tells us we are on a trip. We have a backpack full of the essentials: sun, air, water, earth, phenomena, senses, feelings, and pleasure.
And the only reason we aren't enjoying the trip is that we are obsessed with picking up rocks along the side of the road and stuffing them in our pockets until we can't walk anymore.
That is the visual that is going to stick with me. We are hiking up a mountain with beautiful views, but we're staring at the ground looking for pennies.
It raises a really important question for anyone listening. If the goal is the destination, a state of happiness, or heaven, how much of your daily effort is going toward things that actually help you travel versus things that just add weight?
Yeah. Are you working 60 hours a week to buy luggage you don't need?
And to take it a step further, think about the concept of ownership. The text suggests that ownership ruins enjoyment.
That's a provocative thought to end on. I want to ask you, the listener, is there something in your life right now that you enjoy less because you are trying to own it or control it? Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a house, maybe it's a status symbol.
Contrast that with how you enjoy a sunset. You don't try to put the sunset in your pocket. You don't try to sell the sunset. You don't try to copyright it. You just watch it, let it wash over you, and then let it go. And because of that, it's pure joy.
Imagine if we could treat everything in life like that. Just enjoying the ride.
That might just be the secret to a wealthy life. Travel light, breathe deep, and look up.
Well, on that note, we're going to sign off. Check your wealth accounts today. Go breathe some air, feel some sunshine. It's on the house.
See you next time.
See you on the next deep dive.